Afternoon, everybody. Clint Endersby from Pro Stock Livestock with the market report from the 4th of August, and a bit of a market update on the last few weeks. Haven't got around to doing a market report. Over the last sort of month, we've been yarding anywhere between 480 today up to 640 there a couple of weeks ago. Job's been on the slide for a few weeks now, but seems to have steadied today. After last week, coming off a bit of a low base, the market was generally today firm for deer over most categories. Still, a few of the off types are definitely struggling to find much interest, and they're the hardest to sell. But today, the bull market was probably 5 better. Most of the bulls making anywhere from 210 to 215. If they're a little bit shelly and a little bit slabby, you're back around 190 to sort of 210. But that was probably 5 better on last week, and that one's probably hung in there for the last 2 or 3 weeks. It's probably been very similar without too much fluctuation. The cow market took a hit last week and a week before that. So our cows last week, we got right back into the sort of up to only $1.80 for the best of our cows. Today we saw the best cow make $2. Takes a pretty handy cow to make any more than $1.80, but with a majority of them 170 to 180 on the good beef cows. Once you're back into those cows that are a little bit slabby and a little bit shelly, you're quickly back to 140 to 160, and then if they're over fat or reasonably light, the cows can be right back to 80 cents to $1.20. A little bit of store interest there, anywhere from $1 to $1.50, depending on the age of the cow and the type and frame. But that job, as I said, it took a hit a couple of weeks ago, another one last week, sort of steadied and could have been 10 or 15 better today. Heavy steers, again, probably 10 better today, coming off of a low base last week. Majority of the steers today, if they had any sort of weight and any sort of type about them, they were anywhere from 225 to 250. Majority of them sitting in that sort of 225 to 35 bracket. The Angus steers with a 5 cent premium across the board on the rest of them. But again, if they're a little bit slippery, just haven't quite got the cover or the confirmation, you're quickly back to 180 to $2, just above the cow money really on those heavier steers if they're just a little bit off. The heavy heifer sitting somewhere in between the cow and the steer. If they're a bit slippery, they're back into the cow bracket. But if they're good, we had some really nice heifers there today with a bit of euro through them. The best of them made out to $2.45, but again, majority of them $2 to sort of $2.20. That's for the heavy kill heifers. Again, 10 or 15 better on last week. Again, last week it got back a fair way, and it has recovered a little bit this week. Not sure if that's probably due to do with the short weeks and a few less cattle around the place. Probably also with a price correction last week, it held a few numbers out of the market. Our feeder steers, again, 10 or 15 better. The Angus steers today up to $2.50, but majority of them anywhere $2.35 to $2.40, consistently for your 350 to 500s. Again, if you got off types, dairy cross or bit of horn, you could be quickly back into the $1.80 bracket. The coloured steers, $2 to $2.20. Same story, anything a bit off, you take your hit straight away, 160 to $2. There's some pretty good value in amongst them. Your little steers, to go back to the paddock, it's where we probably start to really struggle at the moment, just finding graziers to put them back out. Not a lot of confidence out there in the job. Steer proportion, anywhere from 180 to sort of 220. If you didn't have any today, but if you had a nice run of Angus steers, like last week, I think we had them out to about $2.40, but they're sort of few and far between. Majority sitting between 180 and 220. And your little heifers, it's really where it starts to struggle. If a heifer's not 350 kilos, she's struggling to find too many graziers to put a heifer out. There's a lot of heifers sitting anywhere between $1.40 to $1.60, and a real neat run of Angus or Eurocross heifers could get out to 70, but again, few and far between. Milk veal is starting to come on. The best of the calves, $2.30, but again, majority of them, 180 to sort of $2.20. But your want to have a little bit of weight into them. If you're anywhere under 300 kilos or even a bit heavier, they're really only going to that grazier, back to that grazier money, and a lot of those heifers selling from $1.50 to $1.60. The steer proportion, again, if they're under 350 kilos, there's not a lot of butcher support there. One thing to note, and I've said it a few times, but if they're off types, they're the hardest things to sell at the moment. Any heifer that's showing a bit of calf, or a yearling heifer that has an udder that comes into the ring, they're really, we're picking them apart, and they can be right down to 60 cents to $1. If the cattle are good and you've got a bit of weight, the job's not too bad. But as I said, if you're a little bit outside of that, where it's very hard to get any grazier support, and the processors are being pretty fussy. So all in all, we had a couple of pretty tough weeks with the jobs sliding back anywhere from sort of 20 to 50 cents on some of the categories there, and it happened 2 weeks in a row. Rallied a bit today to either hold firm or even picked up a bit there from 10 to 15 cents. Hopefully a little bit of rain around this week, bit of rain through some of the eastern states, and hopefully we can just reduce the selling for a bit, and we might be able to see this job just hold firm or rally a little bit in the coming weeks. So that's the market report for today, and a bit of a wrap over the last couple of weeks. So we'll see you again soon. Thanks.